Good afternoon, well, good morning, in fact. My name is Janusz Kozinski. I'm the Dean of the Lassonde School of Engineering. And I have the pleasure to introduce our Honorary Doctorate recipient. So, Eminent Chancellor, Mr. President, faculty and staff, honored guests, graduates and parents, ladies and gentlemen, it is my utmost pleasure to present to this convocation Mr. Douglas Bergeron as the candidate for Honorary Doctorate of Laws. It's perhaps most fitting that during the inaugural convocation for the Lassonde School of Engineering and our sister Faculty of Science, we are honoring one of our most accomplished former students. Well, successful entrepreneurs do not ascend a hierarchy. They create a new one. They do not climb to the top of anything because they are pushed to the top by their own success. They do not capture the pinnacle because they become one. And that's Douglas Bergeron. He knows what it takes and what it means to give your creativity, to give your ideas, to give your heart and soul, to risk everything in order to change the way the rest of us experience the world around us. And not because it is easy, and not because it is lucrative, but because, as our university's motto tells us, it's because the way must be tried. And 30 years ago, Douglas was sitting where our graduating students are today. He was a York University graduate with special honors in computer science. 30 years later, which is today, he joins us once again. Well, this time, he is in the best seat in the house. Well, after Doug was born and raised in Windsor, Ontario, he is the son of George and Eleanor Bergeron, and Eleanor is with us here today, and the eldest of 4 children, and his sister Colette and her family are among our very special guests this morning as well. After moving to Silicon Valley, Doug led the acquisition of Verifone for Hewlett-Packard. Under his leadership, the company expanded to 120 countries, created 5,000 jobs, and exceeded $4 billion in value, which is about 100 times more than when he bought it. Well, the company provides the technology for the machines that we use every day when we pay for shopping with our credit cards and debit cards, which is the type of innovation that today we all take for granted. Well, Douglas and his wife Sandra are also innovators in philanthropy. Their $2 million gift to Multiple Sclerosis Canada remains the largest single gift in the charity's history. It's dedicated to improve the lives of MS patients in Windsor and Essex County, where Doug's father, an MS patient himself, was the chairman of the MS Society. And Doug and Sandra support research and scholarships at Georgetown University, Georgia State University, which is Sandra's alma mater, and University of California at Berkeley. But Doug has given back to York by establishing the Bergeron Entrepreneurs in Science and Technology program. We call it the BEST. And the program is designed to help our students not only to get jobs when they graduate, but also to create jobs for other Canadians. And we will be having a pleasure to present 2 inaugural Bergeron Medals of Distinction later this morning to our most promising entrepreneurs. When I recently visited with Doug, I noticed that he is an avid fan of the San Jose Sharks. Well, I hope, Mr. Chancellor, that this will not preclude him from receiving this honor, but in fact, the Leafs could certainly learn one thing or two from Doug, how to close the deal. Doug is above all a family man. His equally successful wife, Sandra, is with us today, along with Doug's children, Genevieve, Victoria, Ellie, Samuel, and Teron. Despite his accolades, Doug maintains a strong sense of humility and an immense dedication to the people he helps. His intelligence, integrity, and civic-mindedness have been an inspiration to many over the past 3 decades. Well, it is my great pleasure and it is unshakable pride that I have, that I ask you, Mr. Chancellor, to confer upon Mr. Douglas Bergeron the honoris causa degree of Doctor of Laws.
By the authority vested in me by the Senate of York University, I hereby confer on you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, admittate ad gradum. Congratulations.
Now it is my pleasure to call on Dr. Bergeron to come and address convocation.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Chancellor McMurtry, President Shukri, Dean Kozinski, the Board of Governors, family and friends, welcome. And of course, graduates, you did it. You made it to the finish line. Congratulations. I'd like to take just a few moments this morning to speak from my heart about 2 things that I'm very passionate about. To start, I'm hoping to reinforce to each and every one of you how amazingly fortunate you are to be part of this golden era of Canada. Most of you probably don't realize it, but your graduation today coincides with the coming of age of Canada as we approach our 150th year as a nation, an age of unparalleled opportunity, never before experienced by Canadians of previous generations. I also want to talk about the difference between participating in life and turning your life into a unique contribution. Now, participating is not a bad thing. It's certainly better than opting out. But it seems like it's just not good enough. You all have a choice to walk out of these doors in an hour or so and just participate, or to choose to make your mark on this world with your own special, unique contribution. So participation or contribution. It's really that simple. Earlier this year, President Shukri and Dean Kozinski came to see me and Sandra at our home in California. And they offered me this extraordinary honor of sharing this day with you, your day, as a York graduate myself and as a fellow Canadian. But it only took a few days to feel like the dog that caught the bus. Now what do I do? How possibly could I, a stranger to all of you, grab your attention on one of the most important days of your life? How could I say something impactful or insightful or entertaining? So the first thing I did was to research who else has been asked by a prestigious Canadian or American university to deliver a convocation address. Now, some of the names on this list were simply awesome. George Foreman, Kylie Minogue, Dolly Parton, John Bon Jovi, Mike Tyson, and my personal favorite, Kermit the Frog. and now me. I'm not making this up. This is true stuff. As Dean Kozinski said 30 years ago, in 1983, I sat right here, just like you, awaiting the moment for all the old guys to stop talking and have my own name called. And just like you, I was happy and relieved that the long journey was over. But as I looked ahead to the world ahead of me, just like you, I saw a scary and confusing place. Now, to put some things into perspective, let me quote some statistics from that time. In 1983, Canada's unemployment rate was 13%, the highest recorded rate since the Great Depression, compared to just over 7% today. A first mortgage on a home would cost you 16% interest compared to 4% today. The Canadian dollar in 1983 was 62 cents compared to the US dollar, not at par like today. And worst of all, in 1983, Canada was running an out-of-control budget deficit following a decade or so of living well ahead of our means. If we had continued as a country on the same path for these past 3 decades, Canada's debt-to-GDP ratio today would rival Spain or Greece. But Canada in the early 90s decided to chart a completely different course. We adopted a plan that focused on our key national treasures and on our strategic energy resources. We accelerated the transition to an information and engineering-based economy, and we harvested the political will and the imperative to limit government spending to the available resources at hand. Today, Canada has the lowest debt-to-GDP ratio of the top 10 world economies. Remarkably, our own Bank of Canada Governor, Mark Carney, has been drafted by the UK to run the Bank of England, the first foreigner ever appointed to that position, a post that he takes up next month. So you now live in a country that is the economic and fiscal envy of the world. But this Gilded Age of Canada has a second component as well. With brilliant insight, Canada has put into place the most innovative, forward-thinking, welcoming, pro-immigration policy in the world, aimed at building the Canada of the future. Engineered to attract the best the world can offer us, with names like Shukri and Kozinski and Asif and Ma. We didn't erect a tall fence to protect us from the rest of the world. Instead, we are sending a message loud and clear that is being heard across the world. Our borders are open. Bring us your brightest, your most ambitious. Bring us your entrepreneurs and all those seeking a free and just society. Because you see, it's not the institutions or the laws of Canada that make us great. It's the individual contributions by a uniquely diverse set of people, one by one or in groups, that make us great. And the greater the diversity, and the more welcome we are to the world's best and brightest, the better we all become individually, collectively, and as a nation. Now, that spirit of Canada has been wrapped around my wings as a business leader traveling the world for the past 30 years. I visited scores upon scores of countries and filled 6 passports with stamps. But one thing always seemed to happen. I would be in some far-flung country in one corner of the earth, and I would hand my Canadian passport over to a border inspector or to a hotel check-in clerk. And they would look at me and smile, and they'd say, "You're from Canada. I've heard that's a beautiful place with wonderful people." Oh, how proud that always made me feel. Graduates, your science or engineering or environmental studies degree is your own international passport. You now speak an international language of logic and of mathematics, all built around the fundamental objective of building things or making things better. And as a York graduate and as a Canadian, you are now a citizen of the world as well. Today at this celebration, I offer a special congratulations to all of you who came here to study from abroad. And to all the immigrant parents amongst us, perhaps you arrived here yourselves 20 or 30 years ago, and today you get to see your own child walk across this stage. To those parents, Canada has given you citizenship of the greatest country on earth, and you have now returned the favor by giving Canada a bright new graduate of York University. You haven't just participated, you've contributed. And graduates, you too now have a special obligation to give back to our society. You've heard this from several speakers today. So go and spawn an idea or an invention and start a business and hire a bunch of people and make a fortune shamelessly. And then give back, either financially or with your own time or talents. And for some of you, consider offering yourself up for public service or run for office. Don't just participate, contribute. Wouldn't it be great if a future prime minister had the name Shukri or Kozinski or Asif or Ma? And wouldn't he or she do a fantastic job representing our unique mosaic on the world stage? I think so. You know, Canada is different than any other place on earth, and let me tell you, I didn't realize that as a kid in Windsor, or as a student here at York, or as a young computer science graduate working up in Ottawa. It took 30 years of traveling around the world and watching how all these other societies work and how they interact with each other, and listening to how much they admire us. You know, sometimes in life you have to step away to be able to appreciate how special something truly is. Now, Canada is a country that rewards individual achievement. So people have to be left to their own free will to work hard or to be lazy, to succeed or fail, to win or to lose. And you will each get your own fair share of lucky breaks and unfair setbacks. And God knows I've had my fair share of both. But after a period that will span decades, I can assure you that the lucky breaks and the unfair setbacks will all cancel themselves out. It eventually nets out that the real winners are those that work harder, that want it more, and have the perseverance to pick themselves up from off the mat when they are down. Between that list of my life's high points that the dean just recited, or exaggerated perhaps, I will never forget the times that I've been passed over, when I've been fired, or when I've had a failed business plan. This is not just the stuff of entrepreneurship. This is the stuff of life. Because after the pain, each of these events welcomed in a period of personal reflection and consolidation, and was followed by a renewed sense of purpose and self-improvement. So graduates, revel in the good times like today, but be sure to embrace your difficult times as opportunities to reinvent yourselves, just like successful entrepreneurs. You will achieve a level of peace and happiness that will allow you to go to bed every night knowing that you did your best, knowing that you helped others along the way, and excited about what tomorrow will bring. And love what you do, or just don't do it. And as we all know, there are no do-overs. Whatever you touch or build as engineers or as scientists or as environmentalists, remember that the person that touches it next after you builds from your work, benefits from your passion, from your touch, and from your involvement. So don't just participate, contribute. Receiving this degree is one of the biggest honors of my life. So thank you again to Dean Kozinski and President Shukri and to the Board of Governors. I really don't deserve the praise, and I am humbled by it. I also want to thank my mother, who is here today, for always reminding us that simply participating isn't enough. But I am most honored to be able to come back to York 30 years after I departed on my own life journey and speak to you this morning. And I hope I can come back again in 30 more years as a guest and listen to one of you guys speak to me. And I hope also that you can better appreciate now the magical timing and amazing great fortune that you have in front of you today with this degree from this university in this golden era of Canada. So graduates, go now and make the choices in your own lives to do more than just to participate, but to lead and to build and to make the world a better place and to contribute. It's all up to you. Once again, congratulations on your great achievement. I wish the best to each of you. God bless you. God bless York University, and God bless Canada. Thank you.